Hi everyone, thank you for coming back to my channel. It looks like we are counting down to the tribulation and then the New World Order in full effect. And I would like to discuss a few points with you guys. Actually, it's very critical right now because the plan seems to be in 100% completion right now. So, okay, let's get started. NWO Insider reviews entire NWO plan in 1969. This is amazing information from Dr. Lawrence Duncan, who was invited to attend a lecture by Dr. Richard Day in 1969. Dr. Day told this room of about 80 to 90 doctors all about the changes they would witness in their lifetime as a result of the order, or as we know it now as the New World Order or Illuminati. Dr. Day told the doctors that he was free to speak at this time because everything was in place and nobody could stop them now. Recording devices were not allowed in the room, and taking notes was not allowed. Luckily, Dr. Duncan had a near photographic memory and took good notes when he got home from the lecture. The notes stayed in his desk for 20 years until he pulled them out and decided to make audio tapes of the information in 1989. Dr. Day stated that he would be in real trouble if the information he was telling them go out to the general public. Was it a coincidence that Dr. Day died the same year that Dr. Duncan began distributing this information on audio tapes in 1989? After the lecture was completed, Dr. Day gave a hypnotic suggestion to the entire room that they would probably forget everything they heard today but would be ready for the coming changes. When Dr. Duncan asked some of his friends that were in the room what they thought of the lecture a few weeks later, none of them could tell them what it was about. Here are just some of the topics covered in this video created from Dr. Duncan's audio tapes about the plans of the New World Order. Girls would be discouraged from playing with dolls so they wouldn't think about babies. They would be encouraged to get out on the soccer field instead. Guns would be eliminated almost entirely, and the few that were allowed to have them for hunting would have to check them out from officials. They already could cure over 98% of all cancers. They had the cures at the Rockefeller Institute, but they would not be released because there were too many people in the world and they had to die of something. Homosexuality will be encouraged. Anything goes. Families will diminish in importance. People would be encouraged to live alone. Euthanasia will be encouraged. They will use the demise pill to kill themselves. Births will be strictly controlled, and you could not simply have children because you wanted them. Stupid people would not eat correctly and exercise, so they would die much earlier, and that's what they wanted. Private doctors will be eliminated. Doctors make too much money. They will make healthcare so expensive that you must have insurance or be financially destroyed. Limiting access to affordable medical care will make eliminating elderly easier. They would stop hospitals from giving any charity care. New difficult to treat and diagnose diseases will come about as a means of population control. Running shoes and sports equipment will be made glamorous to make the smart people get into exercise. Romantic music will not be put out anymore. All the old music will be brought back on certain oldies radio stations, and the young people will have their own radio stations. Old movies will be put again for the old people. Entertainment will be used to mainly change and program the young people. I think the old people are not important anyway, so they don't care much about them. Entire meals will be made and put in grocery stores. Convenience foods will be made unhealthy. They wanted people that were too lazy to fix their own meals or exercise to die early. They would make puberty come on earlier, inducing heart attacks as a means of assassination. They will blend all religions, but Christianity had to go especially. Once the Roman Catholic is brought down, then the rest will go next. Then they will create a new religion. They will change the Bible over time. Churches will help them. The education system will be restructured as a tool of indoctrination. Kids will spend more time in school but won't learn anything. Kids will have to specialize early on in their education, and changing their plans will be very difficult. ID will be required for all travel. They will implant IDs inside the skin so that nobody could say they lost their IDs. They will control who has access to information. Some books will just disappear or be changed. They will even have thieves steal certain books from the library. Drug use will be encouraged to encourage a jungle atmosphere. Meanwhile, police enforcement to put people in prison for drugs will be drastically increased. Food will be strictly controlled, and people not would not be allowed to grow their own. They only would give you enough food to give you what you needed, but hoarding food or growing food would be criminal activities. They didn't want anybody to be able to support those outside their system. Travel will be first made cheaper to encourage people to spread out their families, but then made very expensive, so few people could afford it. Crime will be increased as a way to control society. More jails would be made, and they would even use hospitals as jails. America would lose her manufacturing base. Other countries would be making the products America was making now. Sports would be used as a tool for social change. Soccer was being encouraged since it was a global game. They wanted to do away with anything like football and baseball that were created in the United States. National pride of any type would be discouraged. Sex and violence would be programmed through entertainment. All television sets would have secret cameras that would watch everybody in the room. They would implant IDs in everybody. They would control what was in our food. They already controlled the weather. They would stop rain in certain areas to bring them under their control. They would make rain during harvest to make it harder to get the food from the fields. There were always two reasons for all their actions: the public reason they give everybody and the real reason. People don't ask the right questions, they are too trusting. Scientific research would be falsified to push their agendas. Terrorism would be used to control the people. Home ownership will be a thing of the past. The new system would be either be brought by peaceful means if possible, or by bringing the nation to the brink of nuclear war. People would give up their national sovereignty to keep the peace. If too many people resisted their plans, there might be a need to use one, two, or more nuclear weapons to show that we mean business. War was justified as a way to control the population. They were happy that world wars had killed millions, so they couldn't keep having babies. But now, with nuclear weapons, they would not allow wars to be fought with nuclear weapons on a wild scale. Americans have had it too good, so nuclear terrorism might need to be used in order to implement the New World Order system. Inflation is a tool of control. Money would be turned into credit. Cash would be done away with. People would carry money only for small items, such as chewing gum. All else is done electronically. They would ultimately have a single bank system, but might appear as several banks. All purchases would be tracked. If you bought too much of an item or a particular item, an official would be alerted to investigate. The ability to save would be curtailed, so they would not be able to accumulate wealth. Wealth in the hands of the people is not good for those in charge. If you saved too much, your pay would be cut in the future, so you could not accumulate any wealth. Credit would be encouraged, so people would get in debt and get in trouble, so authorities could come down hard on them. Eventually, there would only be one credit card, and then after that, there would be a skin implant located in your right hand or your forehead. He was told to not worry about what the Bible said about this because this was just the logical place for the implant. Implants would also be used for surveillance. Every citizen could be identified by their own signal through tooth fillings, etc. You'll be watching television and somebody will be watching you at a central station. The TV could be off and still monitor you. They could tell what you are watching and how you are reacting to what you are watching. The signals for monitoring you will go down the cable for your cable TV and telephone wires. Audio monitors would also be used in other rooms. Any wires that come into the home will be used to monitor you, such as telephone wires. There would be surface trucks everywhere putting in the monitoring equipment. People that already owned houses would be allowed to keep them, but young people would never be able to afford a home. Cost of homes would not come down even with all the empty houses. They would control the price of house to turn more and more people into renters. People would be assigned where they would live, and they would assign non-family members to live with you. That's why the census asks how many bedrooms you have in the home. When the new system comes out, they would be required to sign allegiance to it. There would be no room for people that would not sign their allegiance to the new system. They would be secretly taken to special places where they would not live very long. People will just disappear, so they couldn't be martyred. The new system will come in over a weekend in the winter. They would announce the new system was in place on a Monday. Everybody will have less leisure time after the new system was brought in, so they couldn't figure out what was going on. Remember, they pushing their agendas through the mainstream media and the entertainment business worldwide. No matter where you're from, where you live, they still can reach out to you through television, movies, music, etc. And I hope you guys like this video. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.